Hello and welcome to Talisman, a game for 2 to 4 people to play and basically kill each other. That is the end goal of the game, and I'll go over to how to do that and how to actually win the game. So let's get started in it. If you're not familiar with Talisman, I'll go over a brief little introduction here as to the basic mechanics of the game. But Talisman is a pretty reading-heavy game. You roll a dice, you move, you read what the tile says, you do what the tile says. The tile says to draw a card, you draw a card and do what the card says. Or you draw spells and do what the spell says. So there is a significant amount of reading. And the whole point of the game is to get to the center here. The center is a very dangerous spot to get to. This outside is kind of like the beginner area. This is like the intermediate area. And once you think you're strong enough for that, then you go into the inner area and try to work your way off one of these two paths in order to get up to this, which is called the Crown of Command. The Crown of Command is how you win the game. When you're on the Crown of Command, you roll a die, and if you roll 4, 5, or 6, you do 1 damage to everybody. Once your life drops to 0, then you win the game. Your life drops to 0, that's the green one right here, you die. Up until someone reaches the center there, if you die, you just respawn as a new random character. Speaking of characters, everybody gets their own special character. There's like 30 different types. For instance, this one is called the Cartesian, and she has various special abilities, different starting abilities here. Strength and craft are just the two major stats, strength being physical and craft being like magic. So depending on if you're fighting in battle or what's called psychic combat for the craft, you use those specific abilities. And then when you're encountering different objects and stuff, sometimes it's related to what your craft level you are and what strength you are and that sort of thing. Your lives is just your life. When it drops 0, again, you die. Fate is a unique thing, and it's really cool because what Fate does is it allows you to re-roll a die. Let's say you roll a 1, and typically rolling 1 is bad unless you need a 1 for some reason. But Fate will allow you to re-roll the die at the cost of 1 Fate. You can only do it once per roll, which is great. And once it reaches 0, then you can't re-roll anymore. You can, however, replenish your Fate, and you will see that it often does happen quite a bit for using various either tiles or cards that regenerate Fate. And gold you use and collect to buy and sell stuff. So that is it for the classes and the basics up there. For instance, over here, this guy is an elf. He has different abilities and different starting values. Alignment. There's 3 different types of alignment. This guy is good, and then there's this one, which is neutral, and then the evil one, which is a red little flame. We don't actually see that right here, but it just when you see it, you'll know. And when you encounter different things, like when you draw a card, it might say something along the lines of only evil people can hold on to this, or like this graveyard here is very it's appealing to evil characters and actually harms good characters, whereas the chapel is the opposite. It's really appealing to good characters and harms evil characters. So your alignment can affect what's going on in the game. And your alignment can change. There's one person in this little tavern. I think this is the tavern. Or is that the tavern? This might be called the village. I don't know what they're called. But this one over here, you have a chance to actually change your alignment. Unless your class says you can't change your alignment. Again, that's where the reading comes in. These rules are only good as so far as the card allows or overrides. Yeah, so your turn starts. Neither of us actually draws any spells. Sometimes the classes allow you to draw spells at the start. They're like everything else. You just read what they do and cast them as you wish. So I'm going to play as the elf right now. You roll, and after you roll, again, you can re-roll if you don't like the result. After you roll, you pick a direction. You can either go clockwise or counterclockwise, and you can preview what's going on the board beforehand. In the physical board, you just read what the board says because there's text on the board, but on here there is no text because they have these nice little boxes. So if I go here, it says draw 1 card, and if I go here, it says draw 1 card. Don't worry about the rest of that. It's not important. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to draw a card, and now I got to do what the card says. And so what this is saying, I have to take her as a follower. I'll get into that in a sec. So I have to take it. And after everything's done, I click it in turn, and it goes to the next person. So when it comes to these four little color-coded card-looking things here, the blue one here is spells. You can have up to 3 spells maximum, and I forgot what the numbers are. I want to say it's 2, 4, and 6, and I'm probably wrong. I don't know. 2, 4, and 6, depending what your craft level is how many spells you can have. Like, she can have 1 right now. I think he can have 2 because he has 4, and I think at 6 and above you can have 3. This red one here is your items. Right now we don't actually have any items. Ow, sorry, my cat is biting me. But you can have up to 4 items, and unless you get things like mules, which allow you to carry more and stuff like that. The green one here is followers, like we just got, this hag. Followers are like your posse, and you can pretty much have as many as you want, except her. Because she specifically says you can't have any other followers. And then the yellow one is the other cards, and they typically are trinkets, which are like little things that don't actually count towards your objects panel, so you can have as many trinkets as you want. And then things like trophies. Trophies you get when you fight monsters and defeat them, and you get a trophy depending on what level they are. So if they're level 5, you get a level 5 trophy, and if you fought them in battle, then you get that towards your strength. If you fought them in psychic combat, which is the craft again, then you get it towards your craft. Once you have at least 7 levels of those total, so if you have a 5 and a 2, that's 7, you can trade them in and get 1 point for your craft. So if you see us doing that in the middle of the game and our craft values are going up, that's what we're doing. If you have 8, you can still trade them in for 1. If you have, say, 3 5s, you can trade them in for 2, because that's 14, and then there's an extra 1 because it's 15. I think I explained that well enough, didn't I? So I'll just go a couple more times. That is basically it. So you're limited to the outside path here until you find some way to get to the middle. There are multiple ways to get to the middle. One of the most straightforward ways is to go to this guy and fight him in a battle, so you're dependent on your strength. You have to overpower him, and then he'll let you pass. It's kind of like the Black Knight from Monty Python. There's a guy in here that'll ferry you across the river. You can get an axe to make a raft across the river. You can even get teleported in there from a random card. I mean, there are multiple ways to get to this inner ring. You do want to get to the inner ring. It's a little bit higher risk, but there's also a lot more rewards. Whereas on the outside, you pretty much only draw 1 card on most of these tiles. On the inside, you draw 2, 3. Like, I think this one right here is 3 cards you can draw. The more cards you can draw, the better. You get more chances at items and stuff like that. It also, again, means more risk because you're drawing more cards. And if you get monsters that line up, they might combine their strength, and you probably won't win the battle. But once you feel like you're strong enough in here and you've gotten a talisman, I don't know if I mentioned talismans yet. You're trying to go around, you're trying to strengthen up, you're trying to find items, and you're trying to get a talisman. Once you have all of those things, then you can try breaking through this door to get to the middle. You actually don't need a talisman until the very end, but you don't want to come in here if you don't have one anyways. It'd be kind of pointless to do all this stuff. These are like a gauntlet of trials, and there's 2 paths. This one's more strength-based, and this one right here is more craft-based, depending on which one you're strongest at. And you try to get to the crown. And you need a talisman to get on this last space here, which is why you're trying to collect it on the outside somewhere. And once you get to the crown, you start rolling, you start dealing damage to everybody else, and eventually, hopefully, kill them. It's not exactly game over when someone gets there, but it usually is the case. Unless someone is hot on your tail and falling up right behind you, it's pretty much game over at that point. Although I have seen some quick turnarounds where the person on here just can't roll high enough to do damage to you, because you need a 4, 5, or 6 in order to do damage. If you do 1, 2, 3, nothing happens. So it's like your turn is it's like they skipped your turn basically. So if you're lucky enough, you might be able to turn around once someone gets there, but it's pretty much game over. Is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, as far as the expansions go, again, this is just the very basic board that I started with. The expansions include things from like more cards to different events that goes on here. Like one of them is called Death. So if you roll a 1, we can move Death around, and if he lands on you, some bad stuff might happen. Again, it's all dependent on what you're rolling. So there's those sorts of expansions, and then there's also board expansions. And when we play, you'll see that there's a corner section up here and a corner section down here. Which, when you go to say, I think this one is the start of this one, and I think this one or this one starts on this one. They're just additional spaces that you can go. I think this one's the dungeon. I think this one's called the Highlands. Just special cards and stuff can happen in there. They have their own decks. They give you special items and new stuff like that. And so it's just a way to expand the game. I've actually played with one up here too. This is called the City. It's heavily gold based and a lot of trading and stuff. That's what this tile is, the City. And I think there's even one for down here in the physical games. Now, for the digital games, they haven't added these 2 expansions yet, but with the season pass, when they do come out, then we will be playing with all of them as well. So yeah, who am I playing with here? So, anyways, I'm playing with 3 other people, or I'm going to be playing with 3 other people. Pat, he is my best friend from basically elementary school, I think. Yeah, elementary school. It's been a long time. We went to college together as well. His name on here is Tricky Ricky, and so if you hear that and can identify his voice, that's Pat. His name's Pat. The other 2 are college buddies that we met freshman year, have been friends ever since, and we game a lot together. So one's name's Kyle, one's name is Matt. Kyle is the smallpoxer, and Matt, I don't know what his screen name is going to be. I haven't seen him on Steam yet. I think it might be Stage Master. Anyways, he's gonna be the 4th guy. That's Matt. So I hope you guys will enjoy the game. I hope this was enough of an intro. As I said, it is a lot of reading and it is a lot of just learning as you go. And we'll probably play through fast. And I'm warning you in advance. I will be covering up the board a lot. My memory sucks when it comes to these games. I keep forgetting what spells I have. I keep forgetting what followers I have. And so I constantly pull this up and start reading because I can't remember anything. It's not consistent enough per game for me to be able to memorize that stuff. So I have to keep checking. And if you were to play with me in real, I would be checking my cards like every 30 seconds. I am terrible at memorization. That's so I apologize in advance if that kind of gets annoying. But I need to know what cards I have and I can't remember them. But I was also going to mention that all of us have played Talisman multiple times, so we might be playing a little fast, with the exception of Matt. I don't think he's played the digital version yet, and there is a little bit of a learning curve with that. It took me and Pat, I don't know, 3 or 4 games to figure out really what's going on with how the spells queue up and how the timings work and that sort of thing. It is different than playing in person, because when you play in person, you're like, okay, I cast the spell before you even do anything, whereas this one you have to wait until the turn starts, and yeah. And in person, if there's a problem, you can always just undo it, whereas this game, if you make a mistake, well, you can't really undo it, so you just gotta keep moving forward. So yeah, keep that in mind. The game itself should probably last about an hour. Might last a little bit longer than that, depending on how lucky people get. I know in one of the games, I think it was over in like half an hour or so. It got to the middle right away, and then happened and managed to make it past up here with a lot of luck and killed everybody. So. But typically the games last at least an hour. I've had some that last a couple, but I don't think it should take that long. We all know what we're doing. Aside from reading new cards because they're new expansions and stuff, there shouldn't be a whole lot of dead air like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. I will be doing a little bit of an outro at the end, just kind of wrapping up things, and thanks for sticking around and that sort of thing, as well as making a few clarifying points. If we do some more of these, and if you guys like this sort of video, then I will probably not include an introduction to the game. We'll just hop right into it and that sort of thing without any real introductions, unless another friend comes on or something like that. Hopefully the audio turns out well. I haven't really been able to do a test beforehand, and last time we tried, Skype overpowered everything, so we'll see how that goes. If it works good, then I'll splice it all together and upload it. So enjoy.